Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Cincinnati Business Courier, Power Payers. A local healthcare system is taking a bold step and entering the insurance business. What could that mean for you? A local band's song is being used to help raise awareness about a national problem. And the Bengals kick off the season later today. If you're planning to get to a game at Paul Brown Stadium this season, you better buy your tickets now. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning. Welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Brian Patrick. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, healthcare and insurance. They go hand in hand for most of us, but they're two very separate industries. On October 1st, they will come together under one local umbrella, Power Payer. That's the day Catholic Health Partners, Ohio's largest health system and the state's fourth largest employer, will become that Power Payer. Catholic Health Partners is following a growing trend in getting into the insurance business. It will become the first health system in Greater Cincinnati to sell health insurance to individuals and companies. Policies will be sold by HealthSpan, a wholly owned subsidiary.
So from a layperson's perspective, the last 7 years, premiums have increased 50%, your average deductible has doubled, and out-of-pocket expenses have skyrocketed. From a physician perspective, they have been on this, we call it a hamster on a wheel kind of a methodology, where the more patients I see, the more money I make. And there is no hope in that model for saving money, whether it's the country, the employer, the government.
With $5.7 billion in assets, Catholic Health Partners has the resources to make this bold move. Its holdings include 6 Mercy Health hospitals locally and more than a dozen other hospitals throughout the state. CEO Michael Connolly's solution could appeal to many companies looking to cut costs. Connolly says it will benefit consumers by improving patient-doctor relationships and quality of care.
Rather than all being directed, it will now be selected by the individual consumers. And we think that's an opportunity for us to coordinate care for those patients. We would like to pay the doctors for spending the time talking to the patients, not just doing procedures.
The cost of providing health benefits at the nation's largest employers is projected to increase 7% next year, according to a newly released survey by a nonprofit called the National Business Group on Health. This is a fascinating story by our reporter Barrett Brunsman. I encourage you to read the full story in our print edition, or you can read it online as well. Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center is about to begin a $162 million expansion in Butler County's Liberty Township. Part 1 of the expansion will begin before the end of this year. This is a rendering that shows the $118 million center to conduct proton therapy and research for cancer treatment. The cost includes construction and all medical equipment. It will take 3 years to complete. Another $44 million will be spent to add 28 pediatric inpatient beds by building a 4th floor on the existing 3-story structure at the Liberty campus. Construction should be completed by the summer of 2015. Messer Construction is partnering on both projects. Well, a country music group based in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, has a new music video that will be used in a national anti-bullying campaign.
You may be frayed around the edges, just like my favorite pair of jeans.
Jet Set Get Set is the band, and Stronger is their song about finding strength within yourself. It will be used by Pacers National Bullying Prevention Center for educational programs in schools across the country. The video, produced in partnership with Cincinnati-based Barking Fish Entertainment, includes scenes of teens being bullied interspersed with shots of the band. Jet Set Get Set was founded in 2011 by Kelly Jett. She teaches educational psychology at UC. Most of the members are teenagers. Well, a Hamilton County Common Pleas judge has squashed the latest effort to derail Cincinnati's plan to lease its parking lots, meters, and garages to the Port of Greater Cincinnati Development Authority. Judge Ralph Winkler denied a request by Coast, the coalition opposed to the additional spending and taxes, to hold up the deal. The request claimed the deal has been changed from the agreement Cincinnati City Council approved. Winkler ruled that the change wasn't major enough to hold things up. But the fight is not over yet. Coast has asked Judge Winkler to issue a preliminary injunction that would throw out the deal completely. Arguments will be heard on September the 26th. Funeral services were held last week for former Ohio Governor John Gilligan, who died August 26th. He was 92. Gilligan was a Cincinnati native who spent much of his life in public service. He served 7 terms on Cincinnati City Council from the early 50s to the mid-60s. 1 term in the U.S. House of Representatives. He was governor from 1971 through 75. Later, while in his 80s, when most politicians were retired, Gilligan served 2 terms on the Cincinnati School Board.
And one of the jokes is always that, you know, other people went to football games and soccer games in the fall, and we thought the family sport was putting out yard signs and passing out leaflets.
As Governor John Gilligan implemented Ohio's first income tax, he was fiercely committed to social justice and public service and passed that along to his children. Daughter Kathleen Sebelius became governor of Kansas and is now U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. A funeral mass was celebrated for Gilligan at St. Francis de Sales in Walnut Hills. Industrial real estate is picking back up in Greater Cincinnati, and Doug Armbruster is looking forward to even more activity. Armbruster heads up Industrial Development International's operations in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. He says the Greater Cincinnati market has been robust leading this year and is very healthy.
Well, we're very excited about the Monroe submarket on the Ohio side of the river. The park that we've acquired has a 15-year 100% tax abatement and offers significant operational savings over unabated areas elsewhere in Ohio.
IDI has 3 of the largest tri-state industrial parks with about 890 acres occupied, including that site in Monroe. The Cincinnati Bengals open their season later today in Chicago against the Bears. Now, if you're thinking about buying some tickets to next week's home opener, Monday night, September 16th at Paul Brown Stadium against the Steelers, you're pretty much out of luck. The team is headed for a sellout of this season's first 3 games at Paul Brown Stadium. According to the manager of ticket sales, the Bengals open at home a Monday night game against the Steelers. The next 2 games are also marquee matchups. September 22nd against the Packers from Green Bay, October 6th against the New England Patriots. The only way fans can buy tickets to any of those games is by purchasing them as part of a 2-game or 4-game package. Let's just hope they're sold out for the rest of the season because the Bengals are winning. You can watch today's game at 1 o'clock right here on Local 12. Well, the Business Courier recently announced the winners of the 2013 CFO of the Year Awards. These awards recognize financial professionals in Greater Cincinnati for outstanding performance in their roles as corporate financial stewards. The Courier hosted the awards event at Music Hall to honor the finalists and winners in 5 categories. Full coverage of the winners and photos of the event can be found in this week's print edition and online. Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer joins U.S. Bank Business Watch producer Kelly Leon to discuss the important event for the Business Courier and the community. Kelly and Rob.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for being here, Rob.
Absolutely.
We've missed you the past couple weeks.
I've met myself.
The viewers are calling.
Right.
So the CFO of the Year, nice insert. We can't tell people all of the winners because there are several,
Right.
But they can find them online and in the paper. Why are events like this important to you guys? Why do we do a CFO of the Year event?
It's a great question. We do these because these are the exact kind of professionals in town, the exact kind of execs that just don't get any recognition. I mean, unless you're a financial rock star like Jim Russell from U.S. Bank or something like that, you're just not gonna get that kind of publicity. CFOs in general, these are accountants. They're not out there ringing their own bell. So these are sort of the engine room people of the companies, and we felt it was important to pull them out, give them their own bit of limelight, because a lot of times these CFOs are the difference between profitability and not profitability, just because they're great stewards of their companies.
And it's just great morale booster too, I would think, for the company and for the leader. And so the Outstanding Director Awards will be announced, what, this Tuesday?
Tuesday, that's right, and it's that's looking at the board members, directors of public companies companies and other companies in Cincinnati. Same thing there. These are groups of people that sort of do their work behind the scenes. The coolest thing about these awards is, and you mentioned it, is it's not just these people who are awarded. Everybody who works at these companies gets to share in this limelight, and it really is a morale booster. We've found that out over the years, that people just love it when somebody at their company wins something. It helps the whole business.
That's great. All right, well, if you're not entering these contests, do it.
Absolutely.
Do it. So, Brian, back to you.
All right, Kelly and Robin, with your humor, Rob, will soon compete with Colbert. Our partnership with Interact for Health, formerly the Health Foundation of Greater Cincinnati, continues this week. Very timely, given our lead story on Catholic Health Partners' plan to get into the insurance business. This week, our question to Kate Keller, Vice President for Policy and External Relations. Where should self-employed people go to look for insurance options, Kate?
If you're self-employed with no employees, you can get coverage through the individual health insurance marketplace, but not through the Small Business Insurance Exchange, which is also known as SHOP. Kentucky will offer their own marketplace, while Ohio and Indiana will offer the federal insurance marketplace. The marketplace is open in October of this year for plans beginning January of 2014. You can find more information or ask questions about how healthcare reform will affect your business at reform.interactforhealth.org.
All right, thanks, Kate. We appreciate you and Interact for Health. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch this morning, cigarettes, another form of tobacco. Those e-cigarettes, I should say, are they another form of tobacco, an effective tool to stop smoking? The impact on health care coverage coming up. And if you drive a Toyota, you need to know about a major recall. All right, some news you might have missed if you're not reading the Business Courier online every day. Ohio's largest employer, Walmart stores, has begun charging employees who smoke those battery-operated e-cigarettes higher insurance premiums. Walmart considers e-cigarettes a form of tobacco use rather than a tool to stop smoking. Some tobacco users might have to pay up to $2,000 more per year to cover costs, according to Modern Healthcare. Nearly 2.7 million people have visited Horseshoe Casino in the first 6 months it's been operating in Cincinnati, according to statistics released by the casino's owner, Rock Gaming. The number includes people who have gambled, eaten, or attended a live performance there. The casino released other details on its economic impact, including 23,000 room nights booked in downtown Cincinnati hotels. Toyota recalling 141,000 vehicles in North America. They include the hybrid SUVs such as the Lexus RX 400h, Lexus GS 350, and IS 350. Defective engine bolts and hybrid system problems are causing the concern. Toyota says no accidents have been caused by either problem. Procter & Gamble is rolling out a cheaper version of Tide next year. The liquid detergent will be called Tide Simply Clean and Fresh. It will be marketed toward shoppers on a budget. P&G hasn't given specific pricing information yet, but says it'll be priced mid-tier compared to premium. Currently, P&G holds 56% of the market for laundry detergent. Well, the words back to school have been ringing in our ears in recent weeks. For students, it means this is the time of year to mail in a very large tuition payment. Rising tuition and student loan debt has become a serious issue for many students. For perspective on the problem and some possible solutions, we're joined by U.S. Bank Senior Equity Strategist Jim Russell. Jim, good to have you with us.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So, student loan debt is larger than credit card debt?
It's amazing. The only loan categories that are growing over the last couple of years are auto loans and student loans. A lot of folks have taken the last several years to pay down credit card debt, all kinds of mortgage debt, etc. Student loans continue to be an area that people struggle with.
Is that putting it out of reach for a lot of families?
Absolutely it is, and there are several different ways to go about solving that problem. But clearly college is becoming a little bit more elusive for most families. $1 trillion in student loan debt is a bit daunting for the country. Much of this debt is defaulted on. I will tell you there's a continued demand, though, for the college education. 3.5% is the unemployment rate for four-year graduates of college. Right now, the national unemployment rate is 7.3. But it's very clear, Brian, that college is pricing itself out of reach.
Now, it seems to have intensified in the recent years. What is the root of this problem?
Yeah, there are a couple of different reasons why that is the case. The federal government has tried to play a constructive role, but we can see here in the blue line, these are college costs since 1980. They're up enormously, and you can see the median family wage there in the red line, and you can see the gap represents really the struggle since 1980 that most families face. Now, you can see that the gap has actually widened here in recent years for two reasons. Number one, the federal government is subsidizing in lesser of a way, fewer checks. The checks are smaller. Public colleges such as University of Cincinnati, Ohio State, etc. Secondly, the endowments of many colleges really took a hit in the financial crisis. So the colleges themselves are unable really to provide much in the way of cost reduction. So this is a daunting problem, no question.
And isn't college education becoming very competitive? You see all these colleges with offices on the interstate where they're visible, and many of them for profit?
We do think the times are changing there. There's no question about it. There are some possible solutions that we see out there regarding closing the gap, making college and college-like type education affordable. There's no question that college will only be one of many solutions available to families for higher education. Pay as you earn, meaning capping the student loan payments to 10% of a postgraduate's wages. For-profit online universities, as you'd mentioned, there are going to be many other college models that do not include a stay-on-campus four-year kind of model in the years ahead. But I think we will see are many things that you just mentioned, more online opportunities, and I think we'll also see over the next 10 to 15 years many colleges actually going out of business, something a little bit new, so something to watch as we move forward. But the technology that is available to the students, to the universities, globally, I think will really result in a variety of changes and perhaps some lower cost as well.
All right, Jim Russell, we appreciate you and U.S. Bank. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch this morning, some dreary downtown bus shelters are about to become a work of art. Stay with us. Good to have you with us this morning in our Business Insight today. For January 2013, Cincinnati City Council voted to ban advertising on the public right-of-way. The idea was to rid the city of those unsightly ads on bus benches and bus shelters. But that action also made the bus shelters appear to be abandoned, neglected, and even unsafe. That prompted the folks at Artworks, who have given us the Big Pig gig and dozens of neighborhood murals, to team up with Metro and make those unsavory spaces more beautiful. Later this month, 24 bus shelters downtown and in Over the Rhine will become canvases for local artists. Joining us to talk about the project this morning is Colleen Houston, Vice President of Programming and Operations for Artworks, and Jill Dunn, Public Affairs Manager at Metro. Good to have both of you with us.
Thanks for having us.
Colleen, tell us a little bit about Artworks for people who aren't familiar with it.
Sure. Artworks, excuse me. Artworks is a award-winning nonprofit arts organization here in Cincinnati. We have 3 strategic areas of focus, but one of which is public art. And for most of our projects, we employ youth who work. They're ages 14 to 21, and they work in apprenticeship, so it's a summer job for them or an after-school job, and they work side by side with professional artists.
Well, what kid doesn't want to paint stuff on the wall, right? So you get these young people and you give them an opportunity to create public art. How did this partnership start, Jill?
Well, as you mentioned, we weren't able to have advertising in our bus shelters, but we really did want a way to make them friendly to our customers and make it easy for people to see them. And we thought this partnership with Artworks would be a great way to bring something beautiful to the shelters. We're bringing them to life with art and the beautiful pieces of art that were created by the youth apprentices that Colleen described. So we're really excited to bring this way to really highlight the art within the shelters.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I'm sure it will beautify our city. How many young people are involved in this?
So we employed 8 artists, 6 youth artists working with 2 teaching artists. The lead artist was Ryan Little, and Art Academy of Cincinnati generously donated the studio space where they worked all summer on their designs. It was primarily a graphic design project, so they worked in computer labs, learning graphic design programs, and refined their concepts there.
All right, I'm really curious, what will these look like, Jill?
They're going to be amazing. We've already seen the art, and we're so incredibly impressed with the talent of these students. We actually partnered with the Cincinnati Public Library as well as Artworks to tie in literature. So the art are actually going to be based on different books from childhood to adult that really stood out in people's minds. And we actually did some surveys and got input from the community to get what kind of key pieces of literature we should highlight in this art, and the students did a great job in bringing it to life for the shelters.
Well, what a great theme that encourages people to read. Are there any books that stand out to you in this project, Colleen?
There are many. You know, as Jill mentioned, from classic works of literature to childhood favorites. But one of my favorites was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I have a handful of favorites, but one of my favorite aspects of this particular project, so many of our public art projects are collaborative, but this one really celebrates the unique talents of each individual artist.
I think you need some pictures from Go Dog Go. That's one of the books I read to my grandson, and I know it very, very well. When can we expect these posters to be installed?
Well, we're installing them in the next few weeks, and we are planning a dedication on September 26th, so people will be able to see all the different 24 shelters across downtown and over the Rhine. We're going to have a little event starting at 3:30 on the 26th, followed by a little walking tour to kind of highlight all the different art and really show it off.
Well, Jill, I'm sure that Metro took a bit of a hit when it could no longer advertise on bus shelters or benches. Does this offset that in any way, and how?
Well, not financially, but we are using this as an opportunity to really beautify our shelters and give the public who use these bus shelters a nice place to stay, as well as tie it into our great community partnerships. Artworks does so much with community outreach that it really made sense for us to be working together on this.
All right, Jill Dunn with Metro, Colleen Houston with Artworks. Thank you for being with us. We're excited about your project. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning, 6:30 right here on Local 12 and at 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news during the week, visit the Business Courier online. You can sign up for our daily emails. Go to CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. For all of us at U.S. Bank Business Watch, I'm Brian Patrick. Have a great Sunday and a good week.